In this video, I'll be going through how much I spent in a month. And to go along with that, I'm gonna be going through why I think it's important to keep track of your spending. And like Connor's gone before on 2 separate videos on how he budgets and how he handles his money financially, I'll be taking this video as an opportunity to sort of tell you guys about my own personal philosophy and how it's completely different to Connor's strategy and what he does in his life, but also keeps the same core values. So stick around to the end of the video because it may actually benefit you guys a lot that don't really have the time and don't really want to, and maybe are not even passionate about keeping track of what you spend and budgeting religiously. So while I was planning this video, I watched countless videos on how much they spend in a week, how much they spend in a month, and honestly, between you and me, they kind of bored me. So I won't be doing that traditional type of video as to spare you guys of the boredom. You're welcome. Instead, I will just be looking through everything I spent in the last month. So for me, all of March, and then just categorizing them into different categories. Hopefully there won't be too many. But to do that, I'm gonna need my phone, so I'll see you guys in a bit. Right, so I just finished calculating all my spendings for the entire month of March. And as you've probably noticed, the video will probably look a bit different because I'm filming it the next day. So before we get into how much exactly I've spent in the entire month, I want to touch on why I think it's important to track your spendings and also my personal philosophy on budgeting in general. See, as you would have seen in Connor's last video, I too used to religiously keep a spreadsheet and track all of my savings and spendings, and I think that can only get you so far. And in that video, actually, Connor does really well in portraying that you shouldn't be sort of stressed out and feeling like you have to cut out heaps of your lifestyle just to sort of budget properly. I was more focused on cutting things out of my life and living as frugally as possible, as many YouTubers in our space like to preach. And honestly, I don't actually think it's very healthy in my opinion. That's why about 6 months ago, I initially changed my thought process in order to focus on what I did believe to be more important than just cutting back. And for me personally, that decision had a lot to do with the law of attraction. Now, I'm not gonna get into personal beliefs and what I think you should be doing because everyone is different, and you know, you might take on board what influencers like Graham or even Connor show you with their strategies, and by putting it to practice, you realize that, yeah, it actually does work for you. But you also might take those things on board and realize that it just doesn't work with you. And for me personally, with what I believe in and trying it for about 3 months, tracking every little thing, every little part of my finance life wasn't for me. See, instead of focusing on every single dollar leaving my account, I started focusing on how many dollars I can get into my account. Now, you might be thinking, oh, it sounds kind of like the same thing, because yes, in theory, it kind of is. But instead of you saving money and not spending it, my head was more focused on how can I make more money? In practice, it was kind of like this. Say a friend invited me out for lunch. Instead of me thinking, yeah, like probably can't afford to go out to eat because it's probably going to be $30, $40 and it's probably best that I don't waste that money on food. I should just offer a cheaper alternative. Or maybe you're not so extreme and you think, oh yeah, could probably go out with my friend, but maybe I will buy something small and then fill myself up when I get home. My thought process is, okay, I want to go out and eat with my friend because they invited me. How can I afford to do that? So constantly pretty much saying to myself, how can I make more money? What can I do to be able to afford that? If I can't afford it right now, how can I make more money to give myself the lifestyle that I do want? Now, I don't want that strategy and that thought process to sound cheap and sort of like a finance guru. That's not really what I'm trying to get across. It's just that personally, that is what works for me. I think the fact that we're constantly spending money in our daily lives, where by living frugally with finance strategies that I think do work for the majority of the time, I feel like they do work, you know, and obviously Graham, if he does follow exactly what he preaches, is living proof that it does work. But I think we shouldn't get carried away thinking that that's the only thing he does. Obviously, he's consistently thinking about different ways to make more and more money. And if he wasn't, and he was just focusing on the budgeting side of things, he wouldn't be where he is today. So I think there really does need to be a balance there somewhere. You do need to keep track of what you're spending for the most part. But again, when you consider that you're constantly spending money every single day, those intrusive thoughts that I used to have of, oh, probably shouldn't spend this because this money is probably better off investing, or this money is better off in my savings. You know, I don't really need that. I don't really need this. By changing it to how can I make more money? How can I do this? I want to do this. How can I get the money for that? I found myself constantly thinking of new ideas and new ways to, well, make more money. And over the last 6 months, fortunately enough for me, I have been. But the reason for this video is I've also realized that because I haven't been tracking every single dollar that goes out of my account, I've been spending a lot more money, and more money than I probably should. So there is a balance to it. And of course, I'm not perfect. So I would like to hear exactly what you guys do and what you think of my thought process in the comments below, and we can get a discussion going. So in short, the reason that I am making this video is because I have realized that I have been overindulging in my savings because I have been making more these last 6 months, which is a good and bad thing at the same time. My focus has been on how to make more money, and I've slowly been achieving that, but at the same time I shouldn't be getting carried away because I should be having that extra money and putting it into things that really matter as well. So the main reason you should track your expenses is to identify and eliminate wasteful spending. And if you are consistently tracking your expenses, it will help you take control of your finances and overall promote better financial habits. Just don't get carried away with it. And I do understand that everyone's lifestyle is different. For me personally, as a 22-year-old, I'm fortunate enough to still live at home, and my parents don't really charge me for things like rent and Wi-Fi and electricity and water bills and all that sort of stuff. So I'm obviously taking advantage of their generosity, and I'm able to do different things with my finances at the moment. And to go along with that, all my income that comes from my different revenue streams, it's all pretty much dictated on me and how much I work. So it fluctuates quite a lot. We have good months and we have bad months. And I do understand that not everyone is in that same boat. You may be working for a company and you know that you're going to get a set salary, and you might have kids and you might have 100,000 other commitments that I don't have. So to have the same thought process as I do of how can I make more money probably won't work for you, because you might not even have the time to make more money and you're probably just stuck with that same job. So following Connor's strategy, I think would be way better for someone like that, because you can crunch down on what you're spending where you shouldn't, and then use that money to make you more money that way. But finally, what you've all been waiting for, what have I spent in the last month? Well, if you're looking at the chart on screen now, you can see that I've separated different categories and exactly how big those chunks of categories are for me. Now, honestly, this was really good, and I did want to make a video on this because I could tell that over these last few months, as I was making more money, I was actually spending more as well, and only saving the same amount of money that I was saving before when I was making less. So that is why I do think it is important to keep track of your spendings and your savings, just not religiously. So starting at the top, $89.42 were with my subscriptions. So that's things like my Xbox Ultimate Pass, my phone bill, Netflix, and Apple's iCloud subscription, which is really annoying. So even just with something as simple as that, I could probably just cancel my Xbox Ultimate Pass. I don't think I've turned my Xbox on in the last 6 months. So I probably don't need to be paying for that either. I've also noticed that my phone bill, I've been paying $51.99 for it, when in reality I'm pretty sure my contract is for $45 a month. So that's something you have to check up on as well and fix that up. Next, I spent $250 on my football registration. So that's half the money, and that's not a yearly thing, but that's what I spent last month. I obviously have to spend another $300 next month on it to finish paying it off. Miscellaneous, I think that was just a $50 donation. That's just what that was. And then with entertainment, I think some of that money was like going bowling with friends and playing putt-putt as well. And also, like, I think it was someone's birthday as well, so their birthday gift goes into there as well. I guess I didn't really go out much in March. I didn't go out drinking or anything like that. I tend to not. I probably only go out and spend a lot of money probably once every 2 months. Not a very big party goer. And then a big chunk of money was spent on food. $545.88 was spent on food. Now that encapsulates groceries and eating out. So probably could spend a bit less on that and not eat out as much. But like I said, I'm someone that needs to do the things they want to do because I'm so heavily scheduled doing things that I don't want to do. So I think it's important to live life, and I feel like going out and eating with friends or my girlfriend is something necessary for me. So again, everyone's different, but that's just how I am, which is why my thought process is probably going to be a very unpopular one. Next is my gym membership, which is $51.60. So that's a monthly gym membership. It's not really that expensive. I'd say it's probably on the low end of what gym memberships are going for here in Australia. And the big chunk of my money that I spent in March was on transport. So just my car, really. And that was $1,293.60. So about $1,100 of that money was because I got my car serviced and I had a lot of work done to my car last month. I fixed a lot of things, so that's why a big chunk of that money was for there. And then the rest is like my insurance a month, which is like $67, and just fuel and little things like that. So overall, I spent $2,404.50 in the entire month of March. Now, when I asked the people around me what they thought I would spend in a month, I think my girlfriend said $300, other people said $400 and $800, but everyone was extremely shocked when I said $2,400, just like me. And yes, obviously $1,000 of that was not going to be consistent, but when I looked at what I was spending, you know, the last 4 or 5 months, it's been about the same, if not higher. I've had months where I've spent $6,000 and $4,000. Don't get me wrong, this is not me flexing. I'm actually a bit embarrassed, and I should have been focusing on what was coming out of my account. Because like I said, as more money was coming in, I was being way more comfortable with buying new things. And you know, one of the months I bought a new TV, and another one I bought a new phone, and all these different costs just started adding up in different months. So I think not only for me, but for you guys, if you haven't done so already, I would recommend going into your account and just checking the last 3 months at least and what your spending habits have been like. I was shocked. I thought it would be about $1,000 a month roughly of what I spend, but it's a lot more than that. So I think with my new system, I am going to keep focusing on how to make more money and do everything that I want to do with my life and keep living like that. But I will be monitoring my expenses and my savings as a whole from now moving onwards. I'll probably just be checking out Connor's video that he did last week and take bits and pieces of what I think will help me keep on top of it without devoting my entire mind every day on what I need to do and what I can't do. And also just keep in mind what I'm showing in this pie chart, that is just all my expenses. So obviously other money that came out of my account that say I use to invest and things like that, I haven't calculated on here because I don't validate that as an expense. So that's pretty much it, guys. It's a bit of a different video and more of an insight on my personal life. If you enjoy the different style of video, then leave a comment down below and a like letting me know. If you'd like me to share more about what I do with my personal life and maybe how I manage my business expenses as well. And if you just overall enjoy the content that Connor and I make, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always unsubscribe. Let me know how you budget your money down below, and here is a video that YouTube thinks you like, and here is our last video.